The ranch had been silent for years, the kind of silence that presses on the chest like a weight, broken only by the wind scraping across dry plains and the slow creak of old barnwood settling in the heat. Elijah Carter moved through his days like a ghost haunting his own life, a man hollowed out by grief and time. Once, laughter had filled this place, the bright sound of his wife, Clara, singing while hanging laundry, the soft patter of their young daughter's footsteps racing across the porch, but now the only voices were memories that refused to die. 3 years earlier, a carriage accident on a rain-slicked road had taken both Clara and little May, leaving Elijah alone with a heart fractured beyond repair. Since then, he had kept to himself, avoiding the nearby town, barely speaking to anyone except his aging ranch hand, Thomas, who came by once a week to check on the cattle. Elijah buried himself in routine, feeding horses, mending fences, repairing broken gates, but none of it filled the emptiness. The barn, once full of life and warmth, had become a sanctuary for solitude, a place where he could hide from the world and from the unbearable ache inside his chest. One stormy evening, thunder rolling like distant cannon fire, Elijah returned late from the far pasture, rain soaking his coat, boots heavy with mud. Lightning split the sky, briefly illuminating the skeletal frame of the barn. As he pushed open the door, the hinges groaned, and the smell of hay, dust, and old wood enveloped him. He lit a lantern, its golden glow trembling against the dark, and stepped inside, then froze. There, huddled in the corner beneath a sagging beam, was a woman. She looked exhausted, her clothes soaked through, hair clinging to her pale face, eyes wide with fear like a wounded animal. A bundle of folded paper lay clutched to her chest, her knuckles white. Elijah's first instinct was suspicion. Strangers rarely wandered this far, and fewer still sought refuge in his barn, but something in her trembling posture, the quiet desperation in her gaze, stirred a long-buried softness in him. He cleared his throat, voice rough from years of disuse. "You shouldn't be here," he said, not unkindly. "This is private property." The woman swallowed hard, struggling to speak. "Please," she whispered, voice barely audible over the storm. "I had nowhere else to go." Rain drummed harder against the roof, wind forcing its way through the cracks like a mournful howl. Elijah hesitated, torn between caution and compassion. "Who are you?" he asked. "Anna," she replied. "Anna Whitmore." The name meant nothing to him, but the way she said it, as though it carried both shame and courage, made him listen closer. His gaze dropped to the bundle of paper she held. "What's that?" Slowly, reluctantly, she extended the folded sheets toward him. "A letter," she said. "One that was never sent." Curiosity flickered in Elijah's tired eyes. He took the papers, careful not to tear them, and unfolded them beneath the lantern's glow. The handwriting struck him immediately, familiar, painfully so. His breath caught as he recognized the slanted, thoughtful script. It was his own. The words on the page blurred as memories flooded back, nights spent at the kitchen table, writing letters to Clara after her death, letters he could never bring himself to mail because there was no one left to receive them. Confessions of guilt. Promises to be stronger. Apologies for arguments long past. A desperate, aching attempt to keep love alive on paper. His voice trembled. "Where did you get this?" Anna lowered her eyes. "My father," she said softly. "He worked at the post office in town, years ago." Elijah's heart pounded. "Worked," he repeated. "He passed away last winter," she said. "Before he died, he gave me a box of unsent letters he'd kept all these years. Said he couldn't bring himself to destroy them." Elijah's chest tightened. He remembered that post office, remembered writing letters, sealing them, then abandoning them before delivery, unsure why he even bothered. Somehow, they had been kept. Preserved. Remembered. Anna hesitated before continuing. "When I read this one," she said, nodding to the page, "I felt like I was reading the soul of a man who never stopped loving. I didn't know who you were, but I wanted to find you." Thunder cracked overhead. Elijah looked at her, stunned. "Why?" he asked quietly. She lifted her chin. "Because I'm grieving too." The word hung between them like a bridge. Anna told him her story in fragments: a fiancé lost to illness, a family gone, debts that forced her from her home, loneliness so deep it felt like drowning. She had been wandering for weeks, clinging to that letter as if it were a compass, a sign that love and sincerity still existed in a broken world. Elijah listened, and in her pain, he recognized his own. Finally, he folded the letter again and handed it back. "You can stay here for the night," he said gruffly. "Storm's too dangerous to send you back out." Relief softened her expression. "Thank you," she whispered. He showed her a small storage room in the barn, gave her an old blanket, and left a lantern burning. As he walked away, a strange warmth flickered in his chest, unfamiliar, frightening, but alive. That night, Elijah couldn't sleep. He sat at his kitchen table, staring at the blank paper before him, remembering all the letters he'd written but never sent. For the first time in years, he wondered whether grief had to be carried alone, or whether, perhaps, letting someone stay might also mean letting light return. And in the barn, Anna clutched the letter to her heart, unaware that by walking into that broken rancher's life, she was about to change both their destinies forever. Don't miss the next chapter, subscribe and stay connected.